Well, thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. I really am pleased to have everybody here today. Normally, you get to see a rail yard. Instead, today, you get to look out on the great vista of the skyline of Chicago. We've come together, of course, to celebrate countless infrastructure milestones for our state since I became governor. But the ones that bring people together, that make it easier to do business face to face, are the ones that are most endearing to me. These kinds of investments allow our residents to more easily access places and opportunities beyond their immediate neighborhoods, and they open doors for new jobs and for new businesses. The Chicago Hub Improvement Program, with its scope and its scale, will have an enormously positive impact on people's lives. This proposal, totaling over $1 billion of federal, state, and private investment, encompasses the full portfolio of the mega region's transportation services. While the Midwest has soared in ridership in Amtrak's portfolio, that surge hasn't been met with capacity investments to match. The Chicago Hub Improvement Program is an opportunity for new federal infrastructure funding to catalyze the rail system that this region deserves. This proposal would not only make much needed improvements to Union Station and existing rail lines throughout Illinois and to Michigan and into Michigan, it would unlock a vast system of new and expanded passenger rail services throughout the Midwest, with Chicago's Union Station serving as the hub. My administration has committed $50 million to support this project at the state level. That's nearly a quarter of the $218 million of matching funds required to bring the federal government in as partners with an additional $800+ million. I'm grateful to our regional partners for their commitment to provide the remaining local matching funds. That means the City of Chicago, the County of Cook, Metra, Amtrak, and the Michigan Department of Transportation. I'd like to recognize Illinois' congressional delegation, led by Senators Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth, with a special shout out, of course, to Congressman Mike Quigley for championing federal funds for this project. And of course, our partners in organized labor, Bob Reiter, Mike Masaleo, Bob Guy, and Brian Shanahan. Thank you for your engagement. Teamwork and collaboration at all levels is how we get big things done here in the state of Illinois. I'm pleased to share that I received a letter just yesterday from Governor Gretchen Whitmer in support of the Chicago Hub Improvement Program, and I'm thrilled to be teamed up with her as we bring in funding to both of our states for this critical project. Chicago is the heart and the soul of the nation. I'm sorry if I borrowed that from our mayor. But we're at the center of the nation's transportation system, in part because we're the most important rail hub in America for Amtrak, freight, and commercial rail. The Chicago Hub Improvement Program is designed to modernize all of that, shaping the world-class transportation facilities that Illinoisans, Midwesterners, and all Americans deserve. President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law is a once-in-a-lifetime investment to build a better America, and there's no better place than to invest right here in Chicago. The Chicago Hub Improvement Program fits perfectly with our state's Rebuild Illinois plan, which has already been hard at work ensuring that roads and bridges, airports, transit system, waterways, as well as bike and pedestrian accommodations all across our state are modernized for the 21st century. In fact, over $2 billion of our state's infrastructure investments are dedicated to expanding and improving just our rail systems alone. These projects are vital to the continued strength of our shipping and logistics sector. But Rebuild Illinois is about more than just infrastructure. It's about a stronger future for our residents. It's about growing our economy and creating well-paying jobs. It's about making the most of every opportunity to build better for our residents and making Illinois the best state in the nation to live, work, and play. So thank you, and I'm very proud to turn it over to our senior senator from Illinois, one of the great champions in Washington for our state, for the Midwest, and frankly, for the good of the country, Senator Dick Durbin.
Thank you, Governor, for that nice introduction. It's an honor to be here today, and I want to apologize to those of you who are waiting in line at Lollapalooza and had to come over here. I hope they'll hold your place for you. It was almost 100 years ago, 98 years ago, that Union Station was built here in Chicago. 10 years of construction, a cost of $75 million for the entire station. It would be the equivalent of $1 billion today. And we're talking about $1 billion to be invested, not just in the future of that station, but equally and more important in Midwest train operations. Chicago's Union Station is the third busiest passenger rail terminal in America, excuse me, with more than 3.3 million Amtrak riders and 30 million Metro riders annually. But we know that if it's going to grow for the future, it needs investment. And that's why we brought together, as the governor has noted, the business and labor leaders, community and leaders, local, state, and federal leaders as well, in a joint effort to present our case in Washington. Chicago has a good story to tell. More railroad trackage radiating in more directions than any other city in North America. It's about location, location, and location. Over the past 15 years, the number of trains on Illinois tracks have doubled in 15 years. We need to catch up with this growth by boosting our capacity and reliability. The Chicago Hub Improvement Project will improve on-time performance, increase capacity, improve platforms, upgrade the concourse, remove a bottleneck between Chicago and Detroit, and get this, make a one-seat ride from O'Hare Airport to McCormick Place possible. It also would benefit rail projects in Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, and Wisconsin. Now's the time because we have an opportunity. This president, President Joe Biden, worked with Congress to create a bipartisan infrastructure project. I've been all over the state with Secretary Osmond and many of the people on the podium here announcing projects in towns large and small. This week we're in Savoy, Illinois, where railroad relocation is an important factor in the growth of their community near Champaign. It's a story all over the state, not just in the city of Chicago, and the bipartisan infrastructure bill sets the stage for us to have the resources to move forward. This law contains $66 million in rail funding, the largest, $66 billion in rail funding, the largest investment in passenger rail since the creation of Amtrak. We're all ready to meet the moment. We put forward a proposal as a delegation for $1 billion to modernize Chicago Union Station and improve Midwest rail operations. It includes, as the governor says, $873 million application for federal grant funding through the Department of Transportation and $218 million in matching stakeholder funds. I'm honored to have played a part in this, to gather together this winning coalition. We're looking forward to an investment in our future and in our economy. I couldn't have a better partner in that effort, my colleague in the Congress, the United States Senator Tammy Duckworth. Tammy.
Well, it's really great to be here, and I'm so pleased that we're gathered to really bring light onto the issue of rail congestion in the Midwest. And really, this project isn't just about Chicago. It's not even just about Illinois. It's about the entire nation. Thank you, Senator Durbin. You've been partners with me on this the whole way. And as he said, the biggest strength of the Midwest is that, like our name suggests, we're in the middle of everything. This is my message that I take back to Washington. It's no wonder that over time, Chicago has become the epicenter of passenger, commuter, freight rail. Our city is now the busiest rail hub in the nation. Right here, we have more tracks radiating in more directions than any other city in North America. And Union Station is the busiest Amtrak station outside of the Northeast, with more than half of all long-distance Amtrak riders starting or ending their journeys here in Chicago. But that rail traffic also means congestion and bottlenecks and delays. For all of us who have been stuck on an Amtrak train trying to make its way downstate, we know how frustrating that can be. The need for the Chicago Hub Improvement Program cannot be any clearer. CHIP won't just improve rail service and reliability for folks in Chicago and throughout Illinois. It will mean fewer delays and safer service for more than 30 million riders across all rail services who pass through Union Station annually. That's more time travelers can spend with family and less time that they'll spend commuting. It also means greater economic opportunity. I've taken multiple trips and met with large multinational corporations all around the world, and one of the biggest selling points to them, to those manufacturers who are coming back into the United States, is the fact that we are the center of the country, and that by rail and by road they can send their products to market all over the country, the easiest, the most direct, right here in Illinois. But to be clear, while much of this project takes place in and around Chicago, as I said, its importance and impact will be felt all throughout the Midwest. That is why we have bipartisan support. We're here in Chicago today, but CHIP will remove a 16-mile bottleneck in southwestern Michigan and reduce travel times on routes to Detroit, Port Huron, and Grand Rapids. It will improve service between Chicago and Indianapolis. It will improve service between Kansas City and St. Louis. It will expand service to Milwaukee, as well as service to Madison and Eau Claire, just to name a few of the many improvements our national rail system will see as a result of CHIP. Thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure law, we're seeing an opportunity for generational investment in infrastructure projects that will impact our lives for decades to come. And I will tell you that Illinois is seeing so many investments in our infrastructure thanks to the Rebuild Illinois Act that our governor was able to shepherd through. Had that not passed here in Illinois before we passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, we would have been left behind. But because our governor led that effort, and then we came in with the federal dollars, those federal dollars started flowing to Illinois right away while other states were playing catch up. And that is one of the reasons. Thank you. That is one of the messages I take back to Washington. Illinois is ready. We've got our act together. We've already started rebuilding, and we're going to lead the nation in this rebuilding effort. We're going to keep working and doing everything we can to ensure this critical federal funding comes to CHIP, because we know that this project is so important for the entire nation. Thank you, everyone. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Congressman Quigley, who is my partner in the bipartisan and bicameral efforts to bring more infrastructure dollars back to Illinois.
Thank you, Tammy. If it rolls, floats, or flies, it comes through Chicago. And if O'Hare is the economic engine of the region, Union Station is at the very least what could be the economic engine for Chicago and downtown. It is an extraordinary priority. I got on appropriations committee for this. I got on the THUD appropriations subcommittee for this, and I just became the ranking member of the THUD subcommittee that funds transportation because of reasons like this. And I will tell you, the first thing I say when I talk to Secretary Buttigieg, and the last thing I say when I talk to the Secretary, is Union Station. This is the ball game. Senator Durbin said it correctly. Union Station, 100 years old. But the track and the bridge system around it in the Chicagoland area is at least 100 years old, and it shows it. It can't meet the modern age. So this program is the ball game. We have to get this done. It's great to see our friends from Create here today. All those are vital projects that we need to continue to fund, but none of that happens. None of that succeeds in the end. None of it does for the entire country until we get Union Station and the surrounding areas done. So I'm very pleased to be working with the governor and our new mayor toward these ends. My colleagues, Senator Durbin is probably appreciated by most, but people don't necessarily recognize just how vital he is to the state of Illinois for projects like this, and I want to recognize those efforts and all the years he's done that. And I certainly appreciate the governor and his efforts toward these comprehensive programs to improve transportation. So this has to be bipartisan. This has to be bicameral. It has to be all levels of government, city, state, locals, just because this is absolutely fundamental to our future. And a man I know who appreciates that, our most freshly minted mayor of a big city in our country, I bring on Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Congressman Quigley. And as a public school teacher and as a part of the delegation of incredible, profound speakers, if anyone can name the poem of the initial quote that Congressman Quigley began to articulate, you get 2 tickets to Lollapalooza tonight. The It takes a lot of pressure off of me. But I am grateful to be with all of you this morning, an honor to be standing with so many leaders from all levels of government in this clear moment of collaboration. The state of Illinois is building what is clearly a dream team where the full force of government and every level of government is working in concert to bring about the type of transformation that the people of Chicago, the state of Illinois, and the entire region and this nation needs. And I join calling on the U.S. Department of Transportation to fund the Chicago Hub Improvement Program for the enhancement and the benefit of the entire Midwest and this entire nation. The city of Chicago is home of the most important rail hub in the United States. As Senator Durbin has articulated, there's more trackage radiating across this city in multiple directions than any other place in North America. And we serve millions of people. Now, as been articulated before, half of the nation's freight trains pass through Chicago because our Midwestern location allows us to connect to the East Coast and to the West, because we really do bring the nation together. And so a demand for greater train capacity and reliability is paramount to the growth of this country. So we need support from the federal government to meet this demand. You know, the important thing about this project is that it moves us closer to the type of environmental justice that all of us on this stage are committed. It improves on bringing about the type of sustainability that's going to be necessary for our new growing economy. And furthermore, this will encourage economic development and investments in the city of Chicago for the people of Chicago. By creating the additional service in new directions to new cities, the entire nation will better access the greatest freaking city in the world, and that's the city of Chicago. Now, finally, this is a smart investment. It's a smart investment. And I will continue to stand with this amazing group of leaders for the Chicago Hub Improvement Program. So let's get this done, not just for Chicago, not just for the Midwest, but for the entire nation. And if you haven't checked, our Chicago Cubs, we're going to be playing in October. And so with that, I'm grateful. So we're going to need people to be able to come in and out of the city because we're going to win multiple championships. How about that? And so with that, I'm grateful to bring a colleague that I had the privilege of working with when I was on the other side of the building, Superintendent Killen from the Cook County government.
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning. I am very pleased to be here on behalf of Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle to join our region's transportation industries, industry leaders, and members of our congressional delegation and the advocates to highlight the strategic alignment and support of our region's leaders behind this project, the Chicago Hub Improvement Program. The bipartisan infrastructure law has created funding opportunities to advance critical infrastructure across the country. Thank you, Governor Pritzker, for inviting me here today, and I'd like to also extend a special thank you to members of our congressional delegation, Senator Durbin, Senator Duckworth, and Congressman Quigley for the work of you and your fellow delegation members to craft this special path forward, this needed path forward to make this nationally significant project a reality. You've heard from many of our speakers how the Chicago region is the hub of the nation. Add to that the robust passenger rail network, and there is a very delicate ecosystem to be managed here so that we can continue to provide safe and efficient operations. Today's event is just one of the many where this region comes together to renew our commitment to provide improved infrastructure and transportation options. Good transportation service is one of the key reasons that businesses choose the Chicago region, and it contributes to our strong economic advantage. Investment in freight and passenger rail is an essential part of addressing the congestion on our roads and meeting the travel needs of our residents. Cook County is pleased to be a financial partner for the Chicago Hub Improvement Program, And the projects that are contained within this transformational program will help the region, and more importantly, the nation, reach our collective transportation goals and make room for Amtrak to upgrade and expand service, to construct needed ventilation and mail operation platforms, to rebuild Chicago Union Station, and to, more importantly, give new transportation options to those who don't have other access to other modes. And we want to make Union Station more convenient and more accessible for all. Our unity for the advancement of this program is unparalleled, and it spotlights our collective desire to advance a project that will strengthen our transportation infrastructure and move forward the long-term sustainability and growth in our county and our country. I am grateful for the strong partnership with the state of Illinois, the members of the Illinois delegation, the city of Chicago, the many agencies and advocates that are here today, and we look forward to all of the continued opportunities under the federal infrastructure bill to advance this project and so many others that we need for our region. I would now like to bring to the podium Amtrak Board Chairman Kausha.
Thank you very much, and it's great to be here in Chicago. And Governor, thank you for bringing this event together, and of course, being with Senators Durbin and Duckworth and Congressman Quigley is being with the people who really are making much of this happen, not just for Chicago, but for the United States. I can tell you as the chair of Amtrak that Illinois is truly blessed in many, many ways, and as a visitor to Chicago, I can say that with a great deal of sincerity. But among those blessings is a delegation that is unbelievably tireless at fighting for what is right for Chicago, what's right for Illinois, and what's right for this country. You know, I have a lot of things in my prepared remarks, and many of them have already been said by Congressman Quigley and Senator Duckworth, and of course, Senator Durbin. But I shouldn't feel badly about the sort of wasted text because I got the ideas from them in the first place, so it only makes sense that they're the ones who came up here and took credit for it. Truly, I'm here in part as an expression of our board's support and our company's support for all the things you've heard up here today, because we believe in it so much, and certainly working with your delegation and with the governor has been a big part of that. I'm also here representing our CEO, Stephen Gardner, our president, Roger Harris, and the 20,000 Amtrak people who are very dedicated to accomplishing all the things that we've now talked about this morning. I'm also joined today by one of my fellow board members, Tom Carper, who is a former mayor of Macomb, Illinois. He preceded me as the chair and continues to work with us on our board. We're also joined today by Janine Kwan and Barney Gray, who are here somewhere. They are in the Capital Projects Group at Amtrak, who are responsible for delivering this great projects. Chicago clearly is at the very center of the national network. At Amtrak, we believe in the mission of passenger rail. We believe that this mode does so much for the quality of people's lives, for their economic empowerment, for the ability to contribute to our sustainability goals, and at the heart of Amtrak, at the heart of our ability to reimagine what passenger rail looks like, is our national network. And at the heart of our national network is the city of Chicago, Union Station in Chicago, and the Midwest Rail Network. This is not just our hub, this is our heartbeat. If we are going to accomplish redrawing a map for Amtrak, if we are going to enter an entire new generation of rail travel in this country, we're going to begin it here. And we're either going to succeed here and succeed on a national mission, or we're going to fail here and fail on a national mission. And that's something that we have shared with our colleagues in Washington. We've shared with the administration, with members of Congress, reinforcing the idea that the national network that serves so many people and has so much opportunity to create mobility which will enrich lives can touch so many places around this country that it doesn't today. But building it on the anchor that's here in Chicago is a very fundamental part of that. CHIP is about a lot more than just a lot of specific little projects. It really is about creating that kind of connectivity by applying capital to sound engineering. The St. Charles Airline Bridge, which is behind me, represents an opportunity to cut 10 to 15 minutes off of travel time. It opens up corridors that we currently don't have. And yes, it also creates the opportunity to do things that have been long overlooked, like creating a one-seat ride to O'Hare Airport, which I know everyone would benefit from greatly. And all of that builds on some of the successes that we've had working together over the last 10 years, including the fact that, as it was mentioned, we've doubled service in the state of Illinois in the last 10 years. We've also increased speeds on a number of lines that run out of Chicago to 110 miles an hour, which was a significant accomplishment, meaningfully improved the trip times for people. And we've also purchased 33 new locomotives and, with our partners, 88 new passenger rail cars. That all brings us to why we're here today. The infrastructure, the bipartisan infrastructure law does in fact represent a once-in-a-generation opportunity to remedy all those things that have not been done in the past. You know, we often talk about, things that we have to deal with and work through on a day-to-day basis, and we kind of wonder, gee, is this a failure in government, or is this a failure in leadership? And to some degree, maybe that's true, but the fact is it's happened over a very long period of time. Anyone who's responsible for a series of assets and doesn't maintain them properly, doesn't deal with issues as they arise, is basically just kicking the can down the road. I'm happy that here in Chicago, here in the state of Illinois, here in the mayor's city with great leadership, we are not kicking the can down the road. We are dealing with it, and my sense is that Washington will be very receptive to that. So with that, I thank you very much, and I will end with this saying that no one does anything alone, and I'm here today as the chairman of our board because I recognize that we need to be your good partner. And in the same context, we have many partners that we have to work with. Among them is Metra, and so it's my privilege to introduce Jim Chewinski, the Executive Director and CEO of Metra. Jim?
Good morning. Good morning. This makes it very easy because they said everything that I would normally say anyway. Trains have doubled here in Chicago. What does that mean? 1,400 trains today are going to move in this hub. 1,400 trains. Trains aren't like cars. You just don't wait for the red lights in front of you to get a go. This is a big network. We move in big blocks. Safety is our number one priority. And this investment here is well needed. It's going to affect not Chicago, as you've heard. It's going to affect states. Freight rail is going to be able to look at 3 states out and start moving a train toward Chicago. We've seen this with the CREATE investments already. This investment here, as they say, it's the heartbeat. It is the heartbeat of the national rail network. Pre-COVID, we were stuffed. That depot was stuffed. We couldn't get another train in there. The cars are stuffed. People are not having a good experience. This project is going to untangle the network, open up capacity. It is going to change the look and feel of Union Station. People are going to be able to not have to get off 1,000 people on this track, 1,500 on this track, and walk down 6 feet of concrete to one door anymore. It is going to change the way people experience Metra, Amtrak, and then for those that like the rail network, the shippers are going to notice it. The freight railroads are going to notice it, and the on-time performance for all of us is going to go up. I want to give a shout out again to the leadership on this stage. They make it so easy. I don't have to go in there and tell the story every single time. They literally say, how can I help? Because that's how much everybody gets that this is so crucial. So again, I want to thank everyone here for having Metra here on behalf of our board, our union leadership, our employees, and the millions of riders that we move every year. Thank you. This investment is long overdue and very, very necessary. With that, I'd like to invite up Dr. Gary Cooper of Reply, CEO of Reply.
Thanks, Jim. Good morning. Good morning. It's pretty warm, but it's pretty cool for me to be here. My name is Gary Cooper, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Reply, a climate tech company that local to Chicago that helps organizations identify the physical things they own, reuse them internally when they can, and distribute them to organizations and communities when they cannot. I founded and launched Reply in Chicago about 8 years ago, and we are happily headquartered right over there in the Loop. I'm a proud board member of P33, an organization working to transform Chicago into a Tier 1 technology and innovation hub. In both those capacities, there's an essential focus on the green transition and a sustainable future of Chicago with technology at the center. Today, as a business owner in the city and state that I love, I'm excited to introduce to you the Brain Train, the vision for a first-of-its-kind, high-capacity travel network that will drive innovation and collaboration. This is all about connection, physical connectivity that will push forward Chicago's most impactful and ambitious ventures. Brain Train connects the physical attributes of the city, the state, and the Midwest, the siloed, emerging hubs that are changing rapidly, but not always with the proper visibility across the city, state, and the Midwest. Connection and visibility is exactly what my business, Repley, is doing across the country, except with physical inventory, like surplus furniture or equipment that go idle or unused in the workplace. And because of this, I speak frequently about the importance of connected communities to create local, more resilient, and sustainable cities and states via reuse. So today's announcement is much, much bigger than a rail improvement project. Brain Train will solve real problems for real people in Chicago. People like Olose Olalai, who's here, I think. Olu works for the Exchange just a few blocks from the 75th Grand Crossing Metro Station, and they've begun work for what will eventually be a 5,000-person diverse tech delivery center that will bring home high-wage, high-growth jobs that many companies currently outsource overseas, creating the opportunity instead on our city's south side. Here's the thing, Olu and team will need to recruit and commute to sites throughout the city, and Exchange's workforce will need reliable, fast transportation from Grand Crossing to downtown. Or Professor Nancy Amoto, head of computer science at U of I, and her thousands of students who find it difficult to directly commute from Urbana to downtown to connect with their research and other peers. Or Landon Campbell, a good friend of mine, I'm sitting right here, who's a tech investor in West Fullerton Market. He hosts events to build community across the tech ecosystem. However, he dreams of a day when he's able to commute directly from West Fulton Market to O'Hare in a third of the time. And of course, me. I have to get to Northwestern's Evanston campus, where I did my PhD in neuroscience, to UChicago, to UIC, to O'Hare, all of the time. Not to mention my company's workforce, which is spread out across the city and suburbs. Staying connected to my home, work, customers, and team is of utmost importance. So here's why I'm excited, and I think you should be too. By increasing access and fostering efficient connections, the Brain Train will bridge the gap between UIUC and the city and propel the region's tech ecosystem to new heights. It will connect and create a vital link under the radar of innovators such as Beyond Silicon, pioneering microelectronics for pervasive computing, and synthetic biology, aiming to reshape science and sustainability. It will link emerging tech workers on Chicago's South Side to the thriving innovation hubs like in the West Fulton Market. With the Brain Train, Chicago unlocks radical potential and continues the city's post-COVID resurgence, bolstering connections from the west side to the south side, and further empowering Chicago's neighborhoods and business owners like me. Even more, the visionary project will directly connect the Obama Presidential Center to downtown Chicago and extend to the world's busiest airport, fortifying Chicago's position as a global powerhouse. Embracing our neighborhoods, towns, and suburbs, the Brain Train will better integrate them into the vibrant community and opportunities of the Chicagoland and everything it has to offer for generations to come. To learn more about the Brain Train, please go to braintrainmidwest, as it's spelled, .com. Thank you, and I would love to welcome back up Governor Pritzker.